John Bowlby was sort of the father of attachment theory, and again, theory that pertains to well cared for children or average cared for children. But he did say that it's clear from the research that we're happiest when we have somebody we can rely on, somebody we can call if we're having a problem, or somebody we can even call when we're in trouble. We need to have somebody in our lives who is a continuous thread in our lives, who we can trust, and who we can tell anything, even if there's a problem. And this is the one person that the children we're talking about do not have. They don't have continuity. They don't have a single person in their lives. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So John Bowlby. There are dozens of definitions of attachment, but this is one I like. So I picked this one. A reciprocal process by which an emotional connection develops. Nice and simple. And this is a definition by Erik Erikson, who was the first psychologist to come up with a lifespan approach to human development. Rather than everything ends at 12, he carried it through to the last stages of life, to death, which he defines as 65, which is making me very nervous. But I'm hoping they'll expand that. So the one thing that he really emphasized in attachment is it goes both ways. It goes from child to primary caregiver, let's just say mother, and then mother back to child. Now, I went to a conference once, and the speaker got up and was very angry at the beginning. She said, people get the terms attachment and bonding mixed up all the time, and I'm going to straighten you out. And I thought, okay. So a mother bonds to her child. A child attaches to the mother. All right, so that'll be on the final exam. And I use them interchangeably, and I use them wrong, so sorry. But this occurred. So while I was doing my research, all these questions came up, and they just ate at me. So one of them was, when does this attachment occur? This attachment occurs, what I found from the research is anywhere between 6 and 12 months. Some people said 11 months, some people said 10, some people said 7, some people said 6. So here's the age span. 6 and 12 months to a primary caregiver. And this is a question that comes up all the time. Well, can't children attach to a bunch of people? They can once they attach to a primary caregiver. And it's that attachment that gives them the quality of attachment that's going to go to other people as well. So somewhere between 6 and 12 months, children make an attachment to a primary caregiver. And it's the nature of that attachment that determines, really, the nature of the rest of their relationships, which we'll talk about. This is the most important aspect of behavior when we're talking about really foster children in this case. So this is the attachment cycle. We have a child who has a need. The child might be hungry, the child might be scared, the child might be cold, they might be bored, and they communicate that to the primary caregiver. So an infant who's hungry usually cries. A child who's bored usually cries, whines. There's nothing to do. Summertime, it's great for 2 weeks, and then after that, there's nothing to do. And the caregiver correctly reads that need. So do you remember when your children were little how you knew the difference between a hunger cry and a tired cry and a bored cry? And do you remember how your mother-in-law thought they were all hunger cries? She was, and I discovered that many years ago, our kids were just so chubby after they came back from grandma's. So, and then once the caregiver reads that correctly and the child's satisfied, the child goes back to whatever they were doing. And so this behavior becomes an attachment behavior. A child elicits the help of a caregiver in a specific way, and it might be different for different children. Well, what about the mother and father who are busy in the living room with their meth lab? This happened in one of our cases. And there's a baby in the other room in a crib. So that baby cries and cries and cries. That's how she's asking for food and doesn't get any help. So she tries a different behavior. She starts banging her head against the side of the crib. And the mother excuses herself from the living room, throws in a bottle, and goes back to whatever she was doing in the living room. So now, what is the baby's attachment behavior then, or for food? Banging her head. So now the police come in. This is the actual case. The police came in, found the baby in the crib, also found almost newborn laying face down in a basket who they thought was dead, and was not dead, but has suffered so many problems: deafness, blindness, just terrible results of breathing in this meth lab. So now that baby goes to a foster home where these people just want to love these kids back to normalcy. And the baby's hungry. What does the baby do? bangs your head. What do the foster parents do? Freak out. That's right, because they're not expecting this. So one thing I have stuck in my craw is foster parent training.